We're in Prescott. What does that mean? You don't have to be in some stuffy old museum to appreciate the arts. You can be out here in this parking lot like I am with Dale Odell, who is a professional photographer. His work's extraordinary if you haven't seen it. He's also an expert on outdoor art and is giving an already sold out talk later today, but he agreed to meet with us and tell us about the history of murals and specifically some like the one we're standing right in front of. Tell me about this one.
This mural, it's interesting because it's relatively new. It was painted in 2019, but it's part of the background of the city. And so if you drive down Gurley Street a few times, it just blends in and you don't even notice it. And I was actually looking for a mural in the general area when I discovered this one, and it was like, oh my goodness, this thing is huge. How could I not see this?
You're so right, because I've driven by this dozens of times. And it just kind of becomes part of the scenery and you're accustomed to it.
And they all do. It just becomes part of the background art that defines the city. And I found this one and I kind of staked it out because most of the mural documentation I've done, I found a total of 37 murals here in Prescott.
Wow.
But most of them are just the document of the mural. There's no people. And so the fun thing about this one is I kind of staked it out and I waited for a pedestrian to walk by. And so I got one person walking in front of it that really shows the scale of this thing, because this is one of the largest ones in the city. I had a heck of a time finding out what the backstory was. Every mural I photographed either had like a muralist's credit line on it, so-and-so painted.
I'm always curious too, like who is the bespectacled man?
Yeah, well, that's Teddy Roosevelt, our former president.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, I heard of that guy. And there's actually, the artist actually signed this, but the area where he signed it was so vandalized, and seeing these skateboard guys get the credit for all of the graffiti.
I was going to say, I'm glad they came by, because when I think of murals and outdoor art, I think of a guy who's sort of on the outside of the art world, and that's Banksy.
Yes, yeah, and he's definitely an outsider artist, although he's become famous.
He's become inside.
And he's still a mysterious person. I don't know if anybody knows what the guy looks like, but it's to the point with his graffiti, people are actually going and like cutting it off of the buildings.
Yes, it's valuable.
It's valuable, yeah.
Ironic.
Yeah, and so graffiti was an early form of mural making, but the graffiti artists have gotten so good that graffiti is now considered part of the mural art genre.
And this tradition goes way back before Banksy, and I mean way back.
We're talking 10, 20,000 years BC. I mean, yeah, all the way back to cave paintings.
And this is what you're covering in your talk.
And in my talk, I'm starting like 20,000 years ago, cave paintings. I didn't do anything outside the United States. My area of concentration was the desert Southwest. And over about a 4-year period, I covered, I think, 7 states in at least 50 archaeological sites.
What was the purpose of those ancient outdoor murals?
Well, if we knew the answer to that, its history would completely change. We don't know. The message, whatever the symbol meant, the meaning's been lost to time. There's some symbols that repeat in different locations that we can assume that this is a shield, this might be an astronomical oriented thing, or a snake, or a person. But the people thing gets really weird because the snakes, in the ancient art, snakes look like snakes, rams look like rams, deer looks like deer, and people look weird.
Yeah, why is that?
Yeah, that's a good question. And there's a whole cult of alien visitations and all that. Yeah.
Yes.
And there are some sites that I've been to where you look at that and it's like, if you drew what you saw, what the heck did you see?
I'm officially freaked out, Dale. I'm freaked out.
There are some really, really interesting sites out there, and when I was working on that part of the project, I worked closely with the Bureau of Land Management, the Park Service, the Hopi Nation, the Dene, Navajo, and they were so helpful. It's interesting, the world of archaeology is very insulated, and they don't want to tell anybody where anything is because they don't want it vandalized.
But you can find out where everything is today at 2 o'clock. Dale Odell, his talk is actually sold out, but maybe you can still get in.
They tell me they're adding at least 10 seats. So.
But if you want to see some of his incredible surrealist photography, check it out online. Dale Odell, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.